Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be checking out Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by Harv Eker. It's a book you suggested because you really want to understand how your family history is shaping your financial life today. So that's exactly what we're going to unpack. We'll be focusing on the chapter about modeling, and that's all about how our parents' relationship with money can shape our own financial blueprint.
Yeah, it's amazing how much we just absorb from our parents, especially when it comes to money. Ecker's big idea is that we kind of unconsciously adopt their financial habits and their beliefs, even their emotional reactions to money. We're like little financial sponges just soaking it all up.
It's like that story Eker tells about the woman who always cuts the ends off her ham before she cooks it.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out she learned it from her mom, who learned it from her mom, and so on. And they finally tracked down Grandma and asked why they chopped off ham ends.
Right.
And Grandma said, because my pan was too small.
Uh-huh.
So that's modeling in a nutshell, picking up these habits and beliefs about money from our parents, even when they don't make sense anymore.
Exactly. And it's not just funny little things like the ham story. This can have a huge impact on our financial lives. We tend to repeat our parents' money patterns, the good and the bad ones, without even realizing it.
Eker shares his own story about this. His dad worked in construction, so his income was all over the place, up and down, feast or famine. And guess what? Eker unconsciously did the same thing in his early businesses. He'd make a fortune and then lose it all.
Whoa, that's intense. That must have been a roller coaster for him. That kind of yo-yo pattern probably created a lot of anxiety around money. It really shows how our childhood experiences shape how we feel about money, whether it's stress or excitement or even a sense of scarcity. Think back to your own childhood. Were there any patterns you noticed in your house related to money? Maybe certain times were more stressful because of finances, or maybe there were big celebrations when money was good. It's worth thinking about those early experiences and how they might still be affecting you today.
Here's another story from the book that really got to me. Eker talks about a 63-year-old man who went to one of his seminars. This guy had struggled with money his whole life. And during the seminar, it hit him. He had been living with his father's Depression-era scarcity mindset this whole time.
Wow, that's powerful. That must have been a heavy realization. But maybe also a relief in a way, like he finally understood why he had been struggling. It shifted his thinking from something's wrong with me to I can actually change this.
Exactly. He finally saw that invisible chain that was holding him back.
It's like he was finally free to rewrite his money blueprint, as Eker calls it, those deep-seated beliefs and habits that run our financial lives.
So if we're running on our parents' old financial software, is there a way to upgrade it?
Absolutely, we can upgrade it. But first we have to figure out what's actually running in the background. What beliefs and habits have we inherited? Are they helping us or are they holding us back?
So it's like shining a light on those unconscious patterns and asking ourselves, is this really true? Is this my belief, or is it something I just picked up along the way?
Exactly. And once we see those patterns clearly, we can start to make conscious choices about what to keep and what to let go of, like cleaning up our mental hard drive and installing new software that supports our financial goals.
Eker also makes this interesting point that even good traits we get from our parents, like working hard and being determined, can sometimes come from a place of, well, not the healthiest place.
Right. Like imagine someone who's super driven to succeed, but it's because they feel like they have to prove themselves or overcome some deep insecurity. On the surface, they might be incredibly successful, but deep down, they might not feel fulfilled. Their drive might be fueled by fear or a need to fill a void.
So even if our parents were pretty good with money, it's still a good idea to look at our own motivations and make sure we're coming from a healthy place. Maybe we'll discover that we can grow even more.
Definitely. It's about becoming the conscious creators of our financial lives, not just living out a script that someone else wrote for us. It's about building a healthy relationship with money that supports our values, our goals, our well-being.
Now, a lot of people have probably heard the advice about saving for a rainy day. Seems pretty sensible, right? But Eker makes us think about the meaning behind that mindset.
Right, because when you think about it, if we're always focused on what could go wrong, like a financial disaster, then we might actually be attracting those things into our lives. It's like we're putting all our energy into preparing for the worst case scenario instead of focusing on the abundant future we want to create.
So instead of saving for a rainy day, Eker says we should think about saving for something positive, like financial freedom or that dream vacation. We should be focusing on what we want to attract into our lives.
Exactly. It all comes back to our beliefs becoming our reality. If we believe we're always going to struggle with money, that's probably what will happen. But if we believe we can create abundance and prosperity, then we open ourselves up to a whole world of possibilities.
Eakers also points out that sometimes people end up doing the complete opposite of what their parents did with money, almost like they're rebelling against their upbringing.
It's true. And sometimes that rebellion is a good thing. Imagine someone whose parents were always spending more than they had. That rebellion might lead them to be super responsible with money, determined to create a different experience for themselves. But on the other hand,
If your parents were good with money and you rebel by being reckless with it, that could obviously backfire.
for sure, it all comes down to this. If you're doing well financially, is it because of your parents' example or in spite of it? It's worth thinking about how their influence, whether it was good or bad, has shaped your financial journey.
So it's pretty amazing to think that our success with money could be tied to how our parents handled it. Even if we're doing the exact opposite, it's like there's this hidden force shaping our choices.
Yeah, it just goes to show how powerful those early influences can be. But the good news is, we don't have to be stuck with those patterns forever. We can actually rewrite our money blueprint and create a whole new financial reality for ourselves.
That is good news. But how do we actually change those deep-seated beliefs and habits? Where do we even begin?
Well, the first step is awareness. Eker compares it to having this old computer program running in the background, affecting our decisions without us even knowing it. So to change the program, we have to find it first. Start by paying attention to your thoughts and feelings about money. When do you feel stressed about money? When do you feel good about it?
So if we're always worrying about money or feeling like we'll never have enough even when we're doing okay, that could be a sign of that old programming.
Exactly. And once you start to see those patterns, you can challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Is this really my belief, or did I inherit it? Does this belief help me, or is it time to let it go?
It's like we become detectives in our own financial lives, uncovering these hidden beliefs and deciding which ones to keep and which ones to toss out.
You got it. And that's when we can start to make real changes. So what are some things we can do to rewire our brains for more abundance?
Okay, so we're becoming aware of our money blueprint, and we're surrounding ourselves with positive influences. What else can we do to shift our mindset?
Well, Eker also talks about the importance of challenging those limiting beliefs that might be holding us back. You know those old tapes that play in our heads, like, I'm not good with money, or money is the root of all evil. Question those beliefs. Where did they come from? Are they really true? More often than not, they're just stories we've been telling ourselves based on our past experiences.
That reminds me of something you mentioned earlier about Eker and his dad's unpredictable income. Even though he became successful, he still ended up repeating those same patterns of ups and downs.
Yeah, and it shows that even when we achieve outward success, those underlying beliefs can still sabotage our happiness and prevent us from truly feeling financially free.
So how do we break free from those self-sabotaging beliefs?
Eker suggests a powerful exercise. He calls it a declaration. It's a statement of intention that we repeat with conviction. He says to put your hand over your heart and say, what I modeled around money was their way. I choose my way.
Just hearing those words is powerful. It's like we're reclaiming our power and choosing to create our own financial destiny.
Right. Then you touch your head and declare, I have a millionaire mind.
I have a millionaire mind. It feels like a total reset button. What's the reasoning behind that declaration?
It's about shifting our identity, our self-concept. We're not just changing our behaviors, we're changing our core beliefs about money and our ability to create wealth. We're telling ourselves and the universe that we're capable of financial abundance.
So we're stepping into a new identity, one that's aligned with prosperity and success. But I think some people might hear millionaire mind and think it's all about having tons of money. It seems like it goes deeper than that.
Oh, absolutely. For Eker, having a millionaire mind isn't about the dollar amount. It's about your mindset, your beliefs, your overall relationship with money. It's about being responsible with money, making smart choices, and living a life of abundance and generosity.
So it's about using money as a tool to create the life we want, not just for ourselves, but for others too. Which reminds me, Eker has some interesting things to say about why we want to make money in the first place. It's not just about getting rich. It's about our motivations.
He's right on the money there. If we're driven by fear or anger or the need to prove something, it can really mess with our happiness. He talks about people who are driven by a fear of not having enough. They work like crazy to make money, but they never feel secure because that underlying fear is always there.
It's like they're on a treadmill, running and running, but never getting anywhere. No matter how much they make, it's never enough to quiet those inner voices of fear and scarcity.
And you know what Eker points out? For people driven by fear, making more money just changes the kind of fear they have. They might go from being afraid of not having enough to being afraid of losing what they've made or being scared of making bad investment decisions.
So it's like they're always chasing something,
Hmm.
never really finding peace.
Mm.
And I bet it's the same for people who are always trying to prove themselves. No matter how much validation they get from outside, it never seems to fill that emptiness inside.
It's true. So if fear and the need to prove ourselves aren't the best motivators, what are some better ways to create true wealth and happiness?
That's the big question. What does Eker suggest as a driving force for building a life of financial fulfillment? That's the big question. What does Eker suggest as a driving force for building a life of financial fulfillment?
Well, he says we should shift our focus to things like purpose contribution and joy. Instead of being driven by what we don't have or what we need to prove to others, we can connect with something deeper, a sense of purpose.
That does sound a lot better than always feeling like we have to prove ourselves. So how do we actually make that shift?
It starts with getting clear about your values. What really matters to you? What lights you up? What impact do you want to make in the world? How can you use your talents and skills to make a difference? When our financial goals are aligned with our purpose, money becomes a tool for creating positive change, not just a way to get more stuff.
Yeah, it's like that saying, money is a good servant but a bad master. When we're driven by fear or ego, money tends to control us. But when we're driven by purpose, we can use money to build a life that has real meaning.
Exactly. Eker also talks about the importance of gratitude. When we focus on what we're grateful for, we shift our energy from a place of lack to a place of abundance. We start to see all the good things in our lives, and we attract more of them.
It's like that idea of counting your blessings.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in what we don't have. But when we take a minute to appreciate what we do have, it changes our whole perspective.
It really does. And it doesn't have to be big things either. It can be simple things like having a roof over your head or food on the table, or the love and support of your family and friends. The more we focus on the good, the more we invite good things into our lives.
So gratitude is a powerful way to change our mindset and attract abundance. Are there any other practical tips Eker gives for rewiring our brains for financial success?
He emphasizes the importance of taking action. It's not enough to just think positive thoughts or say affirmations. We need to take real steps towards our goals.
It's like they say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We can have the best intentions, but if we don't take action, nothing will change.
That's so true. And Eker encourages us to start small. We don't have to make huge changes all at once. We can start by picking one belief or habit that's holding us back financially and work on changing that.
So if we have trouble with overspending, we can make a budget and track our spending more carefully. Or if we're afraid to invest, we could start by learning more about it and maybe talking to a financial advisor.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey. There are going to be bumps along the way. But the key is to keep going, to stay focused on our goals.
Speaking of staying focused, what about affirmations? Eker talks about those too, right?
He does. Affirmations are a great way to reprogram our subconscious mind. He says to pick some empowering statements about money and wealth and repeat them every day. It might feel weird at first, but the more you say them, the more you'll start to believe them. And then your actions will start to line up with those beliefs.
So instead of saying, I can't afford that, we could try saying, I'm attracting abundance into my life. Or instead of, I'm bad with money, we could say, I'm learning to be financially smart and in control.
Exactly. It's all about replacing those negative thoughts with positive ones, thoughts that support our financial goals.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like I'm seeing my own relationship with money in a whole new light. It's all connected. Becoming aware of our patterns, changing our mindset, taking positive actions, and using affirmations. It's a complete approach to transforming our relationship with money.
You got it. And it's empowering to realize that we have the power to create the financial future we want. It all starts with understanding our money blueprint and making conscious choices to change it.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, I highly recommend checking out Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It could totally change how you think about money. And remember, Eker's powerful affirmation, what I modeled around money was their way. I choose my way. I have a millionaire mind.
That's it. Go out there and create your own abundant future. You have the power to write your own financial story, a story filled with abundance, joy, and purpose.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.